Well, hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at a vintage watch duel. I thought it could be interesting to have a look at vintage watches. It's one of my passions. I also buy new watches, but let's have a look at the vintage watches, and let's start with the 90s and work our way backwards. Seiko in the 90s, and then we'll have a look at the roaring 70s and the 50s and the 60s, and at the end we'll have a little bit of a Swiss shootout. So let's try to get into it. The first watch I will show is the 90s, is an Skx 007. As you can see, it's heavily modded. I was quite late to the game of SKXs, and so I thought I wanted to have something different. So this is an Skx 007, but heavily modded, as you can see. A very nice piece, modded by one in the Philippines. I can't do it. But I really like it. And it's wearable, even though it's a little bit large. It's quite wearable. I like this theme it has, also on the bezel, and it's really nice. I put a strap on it, a bomber strap. I found it in a high horology shop in Hong Kong, actually, and Mr. Chrono it's called. Really nice strap that makes it sort of a military theme. So where's the shootout? Well, this one, that's the Duel. I had no idea that this one existed. Skx 007, 009, there's a lot of different references, but this one is an Skx 033J. I had no idea that this was around. It was discontinued a long time ago. But it's so nice because it's a different size. Not only that, first of all, everyone knows the SKX, but this one is 40 millimeters. What a great size, especially for vintage nerds like me. 40 and below is really great. And the thickness is just 11.6, and lock to lock is 45.8. So a really good size. And not only that, the hour markers are not printed, but they are applied. And it has this wonderful blue shimmer to it. It's a matte blue color on the dial, but it's really so nice. And the Pepsi bezel is really nice as well. This is a replacement. The old one was too warm. And then I put on it a watch gecko strap with those red and blue accents. That's just complementing the bezel. But there you got the duel, and who's going to win? Well, it's obvious for me, because I found out the winner here between those two is the Skx 33 or 033. It's because of the size, because of the applied numerals or hour markers. It's such a wearable piece. Let me try to show it on the wrist. Here today on the wrist I have a Celos Horizons, which is a great watch. And here it is on my 7-inch wrist. A really nice color and really wearable size, much better. I don't mind the Skx 007 or 009. The size is great, but the 40 millimeters is my perfect sweet spot for this. 40 or 39. Such a nice watch. I had no clue it was existing until late last year, and I don't understand why Seiko doesn't make more of these sizes. Instead of 42s are great and more, but a lot of us want smaller watches. So this is a definite winner. Now let's move back in time to the 70s. The first contender here in the Duel is a Bulova Acrotron. What a gorgeous 70s piece here. It has a very nice blue, it's a very simple watch. Blue dial, applied markers, and they function. Really nice kind of cushion case style. Wonderful piece from Bulova. And it's an Acrotron, so you can see that by the second hands. Look at the sweep here. It's so steady and so nice. It's just like a Seiko spring drive. The Acrotron humming is a wonderful piece of work, and I bought it from an old watchmaker we have here in this town, and he used to work in the 70s. He used to work at Bulova in one of the factories in Switzerland. Yes, they had a factory in Switzerland as well. So he worked there and he made those watches, and that's his first job was there. So he is really good at repairing and changing batteries and so on. I really love this piece. It's so wearable. Of course, the size is quite small. So if you have a look at this, it's like 35 millimeters, and it's just 10.2, and lock to lock is 41.5. So a really nice piece, and the strap here is I got it from I think it was Strap Coat in Hong Kong. So it's like a suede leather strap. So the contender, what is that? Recently I found this one here. This is a Satina Argonaut 280. And it has such a playful dial. You see, this is a green dial, sunburst with a orange, red/orange hand. That dial just makes me smile. That green color is awesome, and the Satina logo, this orange, is also very nice. Also, this kind of cushion case with the chamfer here, and it's so nice. It's this design, of course, is 70s. This has a little bit of a hidden secret because someone took some extra care here at the back. If you see, someone took the care to put a see-through case back on it. It wasn't me, certainly, and it wasn't on from the factory, but someone really liked this and put a see-through back, and it's a gorgeous piece. It's not high horology, it's not like super advanced, it's very simple and practical, but it just looks good anyhow. So I like that. I think we should put see-through cases on more of these vintage watches. Now here's the Satina on my 7-inch wrist. What a nice presence. And it's very flat, but it takes a lot of real estate anyhow. Even though it's just 36 millimeters, it's a very nice size. Bright colors of summer, and that second hand's just ticking away. I'm not sure that the strap is the right choice. I've ordered a new strap. I don't think it's the perfect choice, but I'll change that. The green, however, makes me smile, and it looks good on my wrist. And here you got the Bulova on my wrist. Also, even though it's a quite small watch, it looks big. I mean, it looks suitable, it looks appropriate. So I don't have a problem with 36, 35, especially because the locks are 20. When the locks are 20 millimeters, I find 36, 35 is easily wearable. If the lugs are 18, it makes a big difference, I think. Then it starts to get a little bit tiny for me. But this size is beautiful. So in this shootout, which one is going to win? I have a real problem with that. This one has the interesting movement and this sure second sweep that is so nice, and it has a really good hum to it, and I like the clean dial. This one has the interesting color, so it's a bright fresh color. So it's the difference between the movement, which is good, and a really nice dial, or the dial is really wonderful and the movement is sort of okay. So which one? It's really going to be a tie for me in this one. So now let's jump back to dress watches and even further back in time to 50s. And the first one here is an Omega. And this is an Omega's automatic Seamaster. And it's from 1952. And it's a caliber 351. The strap is unknown, I can't remember where I got it from. A really gorgeous dial is sort of a honeycomb or waffle dial, and the applied 12, 3, 6 and 9 are really gorgeous. Really a classical Omega watch. The size of this one is quite small. See, 34.4. That's somewhat a little bit to the small side for me personally, especially because the lugs are 18. I tend to find when the lugs are 18, they wear a little bit small. This is 41.9, thickness of 11. So here it is on my wrist. It is a good size, but still quite to the small end of it. So that means that I don't wear it that often. The contender to the Omega is a King Seiko from 1968. This is a clean and classic dress watch, just like the Omega. It's more white in the dial, and it got beautiful applied markers, and the hour and minute hand is classical Seiko, and a date function. It's gold, I think it's gold plated, which of course is a problem. I would have preferred it in steel, but I found this was a good, clean watch, so I took this one instead. And it matches on the on a blue strap. It matches the gold. I think it's from cheapest NATO straps. I think it's quite okay quality, but it's a very clean and classical dress watch from King Seiko, with a medallion that is really nice as well, preserved. I think the only thing is the crown has been replaced. It's still a Seiko crown, but not with the embossed logo. Other than that, it's a very clean look. Here it is on my 7-inch wrist. Gorgeous piece. A little bit to the dressy side because of the gold, so again I don't use it that often, but when I do, I really enjoy it. The dimensions of the King Seiko is, as you can see, 35, 11.5 and 41.4. So again, a quite small watch. But the thing is, as I mentioned before, 18mm locks. Now, in this shootout, in dress watches, I actually have a third one. And it comes in with the guns blazing and is killing its opponents. This is a universal pole router, and it is such a gorgeous piece, and it wins the Duel hands down because of so many things. Universal pole router, and this version, of course, it was produced in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I believe this is from the mid 60s. It's such a clean example. The dial is immaculate, and the date window. The only thing is the acrylic glass has been changed because there's no bubble here. But it's a wonderful piece. So nice. The backside has been worn quite a bit. The size of the Universal pole router is more or less like the others. You see, it's roughly 34.5, so it's kind of small, and it's a 10.3. But then the lock to lock is 43, and that makes a big difference because it makes it seem bigger on the wrist. The lock width is 18 as the others. So let's put it on the wrist, and here we have it on the wrist. This is this is Joel Genta's design. It's a clean example, and it's so variable on the wrist. With the bigger lock to lock length means that it's more prominent. It doesn't feel like a small watch, of course, compared to a 40mm. So, but I really wear this much more than the others, and there's two reasons behind it. The first reason is the design is, there's just something about the pole routers. I really like that. And the second thing is there's a story behind the Universal pole router was launched at the SAS. So you can dig up the story behind it, but it's tied into SAS, and I have ties to that as well. So for me, there's sort of a good story behind it. So this is something very unique for me and very special. It's not just the dial that is great and immaculate. I had it serviced, and I really fell in love with the movement here inside. I would have liked to remove this, but I don't have the tool, so that must wait for another time. I saw it when it was serviced, and you all know the pictures of pole routers, the micro rotor, and it's such immaculate condition, this one. So I really wanted to show you, but I can't do that. I have a little bit of a project. I would like to have a see-through case back, just like we had for this one here. But of course, that's not something, it has to be made. But I think it's really useful for a movement like this one because of the micro rotor and the colors, and it's just an interesting piece to look at. So this one really deserves a see-through case back. So now you've got 3 dress watches here, and they're all nice. They're from different brands: Omega, Seiko, Universal, Genève. And the shootout is of course difficult, but this one for me wins, big time. And it means that I'm wearing these 2 less, so you can buy them off me if you want. But the idea is not, the idea is simply to work out the way you're looking at, what is your journey in vintage watches or new ones? I started out with this one and really liked it, especially the applied numerals and the waffle dial. And then I got this one, which is more clean and white. And then I found the perfect solution here. So it shows sort of my progression. But when you see watches like this, you will also immediately say, I like this one, or I like that one. So it's all about, having that journey and finding out what it is that you really like. So in this shootout, this Universal Genève by Joel Genta is the winner. let's go to the Swiss shootout. Also vintage watches. The first one is Rolex Thunderbird, and this is from early 60s, mid 60s. It's a 1625 Thunderbird chronograph, and this immediately caught my eye because this is a birth year watch for me. It's a little bit special. Everyone should have a birth year watch, you say with a smile, but in this case I did a little bit different. When I tracked down the serial number and everything, this was in the production halls of Rolex at the same month, that in the same quarter that I was in the production halls. I wasn't born yet, but this watch was also not born yet. So they match very well. It's a two-tone, and I think this gold bezel here is, with the standout numbers here, and it is a gorgeous piece. I think if you got this from new, it would look a little bit too flashy for me. I have a little bit of a problem with two-tone, but here you can see how, if you zoom in, you can see how, I wouldn't say dirt and grime, but there's some vintage look about this gold. It's not fresh and shiny. It's been used, and that gives it a wonderful look. And put it on the steel here, it's just a gorgeous piece. So nice and so clean. Just a straight case back here. Applied markers here, and the Rolex crown. And here it is on my wrist, 7-inch wrist. It's really playful on the wrist, and it's a rather good size because it's 36 millimeters. But it's also a bit formal. And in terms of the size, see, it is 35.4 and a thickness of 11.6 and lock to lock of 43.3. But it looks really, an okay size on the wrist. So what is the shootout? Well, the contender here is totally different, but this is a Vulcain, a cricket watch. This is from, it's unbelievable luck. I found it on eBay. I didn't know if it was fake or not. I just bought it straight off. It was just posted the same day I bought it. It arrived, and I found out not only is it I had it serviced. It hasn't been used. It's NOS, new old stock. I had it serviced at my trusted watchmaker, and he took photos of the movement and shared it with his colleagues, and it's a wonderful, cricket movement, and it's totally NOS. Everything is so pristine here, and look at that. What a crystal here, acrylic, and it's just in immaculate order. And I really like it's a simple dial, and with the cricket sound. And I put it on a Hirsch Liberty strap. This is okay. I think I may need to find something else, but it's okay. In terms of size, we're stepping up because this is 38 millimeter. For me, that's even better than 36. And here it's 12.2, and the lock to lock on the cushioned case is 40. So if you put this on my wrist, you can see it has a much bigger presence than the Rolex or the dress watches. And this piece here is from the 1970s. I believe it looks like it's from the mid-70s, but it's a little bit difficult to track it. It's an S2326B movement, but what a gorgeous piece, especially that acrylic crystal there. So what is the shootout going to be between these two guys here? See, that's difficult. You have the refined classical look here, and with the gold bezel with a little bit of bling here, but it's a Rolex name and it's a gorgeous piece. Or this one, which has the functions, and Vulcain is a very nice brand, also from Switzerland. It's called the Watches of the Presidents, but this is from the 70s, so 60s and 70s. You can see they're very, very different, so the shootout is really going to be difficult. In terms of wearing it, this one wins, because I can wear it every day, whenever I feel like it, in all occasions, and it wouldn't stand out or do anything wrong. Whereas this one is a little bit more for formal occasions. So in terms of wearability, the Vulcain is winning. Here's the lineup of all the watches. So it's not about my watches, it's more about where is the journey. And that's why when you see watches like this, some you like, some you dislike, but you are also on a journey finding out what you like, and we are moving, it's a moving target. So it's not just a shootout between inside, because between these two I really like the Skx 033, but it's also, am I more gravitating towards like vintage Seikos, or am I gravitating more towards this kind of 70s style watch, or am I more into very, very classical dress watches from the 50s and 60s, or am I into this Rolex or the 70s here? You can see it's a matter of educating yourself, trying things out and finding out what you like. Me personally, I think I gravitate towards the 70s style. I wear them quite often, and I really like the Seiko. And then the dress watches, especially this one for work, I use that very frequently, and these are for more special occasions. So it's a journey we're on, and you're on the same journey, and the same journey can be applied into new watches, because there's also a multitude of different types of watches. So I think that's why we hooked. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some pieces you like and don't like, and finding out a little bit more about yourself and your likes. So stay tuned. I will see you later.